Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games, The Week in Games. Could it be that I've actually done 2 Week in Games back to back? That would be the first time I've done that in probably 2 years. Either way, here we are. We're in the waning moments of the dog days of summer. It's a great time for board gaming because there's always great time for board gaming. It's 82 in the shade currently, which means it's going to be hot, hot, hot. I love it. I've been doing double 5K runs morning and night in preparation for a 10K run in September in the Pacific Northwest. We have a 10K run called Beat the Blurch, which is all about fun and just having a good time. You don't have to worry about nothing. Just kind of run at your pace. The faster you run, the more they boo, kind of thing. Like. Anyway, but yeah, that's not board gaming related, but hey, why not? So I wanted to take the time to thank one of my regular viewers who he's across the pond, across the Pacific pond, and he actually gave me a copy. You see it back there. Not gave me a copy, but he contacted me about a review on Haze Islands. This is kind of an just a very different approach on the pirate games sort of concept. And my rule, of course, is I don't take free copies of anything. Like, I buy everything I review. That puts me in the trenches. That puts my skins in the game in the form of greenbacks, which means that when I say what I feel, I'm not even ever having to worry about anybody going, "You're a shill" or not. It's like, no, I paid the same money and I'm reviewing what I buy. So, eat my own dog food, which never actually do that in real life. It's not as cool as it sounds. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'll take a look at that in a while. It's in the queue. But the other cool thing that that included was this. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these, but it's this crazy die. And at first I'm like, what the heck is this? But if you ever need to roll a die and you don't have a D3, D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, up to D20, this sucker is really cool. You turn it on, you spin it, and then you just put your finger on the edge, and no matter where you put it on the edge, it's going to be somewhere near the right number. A little tiny ambiguity at times. So honestly, when I first saw it, I'm like, I wonder if I'll get much use out of this. But there's actually times when I really think it's really cool. You just spin it and then point. Oh, I'm on the 5. So if it's a D6, oh, that's a 5. If it's a D20, that's a 10. North, south, east, west. Anyway, very cool little gadget. I was very impressed to take a look at that. So anyway, that's it. That's my, there's my squirrel moment for now. Let's get to my news. All right, in the news we have, we don't have a ton that I'm going to talk about today, but there's a couple new games that have been rolled out. Now, I've always been a Friedman Freeze fan for frolicky, fun, fantastic, frenetic reasons. He likes his Fs and he likes his green. He's got a new game called Findorf. Not pronouncing that right, I'm sure. Findorf is named. It's a game based on a particular individual who was responsible for draining and surveying bogs in the north of Bremen, extracting the peat and populating the bog with residents. And it's quirky and honestly, for Pete's sake, let's get this out to the audience and let them try it, right? And the other thing, and generally I've cooled a little bit on Freedom's Fees. The last few games I bought have been a little too old school to really have kept my interest along. But at the same time, he keeps coming out with these crazy premises that I really find just entertaining. Like, he has a second title called Fasonery, Fancy Feathers, and that one looked okay, but then he did something. He had to include a card called Pheasant Farts. So I have to buy it now. I just have to. So I don't vouch for whether it's good or bad, just that it has pheasant farts, and that appeals to my juvenile 4th grader nature. So, and anyway, and John DeClaire, who did Edge of Darkness and Dead Reckoning, is also coming out with a game called Ready Set Bet, which looks like an intriguing sort of it's a betting game, horse betting game. It looks, could it dethrone Longshot? I don't know, but with a designer like him, I think it's worth at least taking a look at. So anyway, let's get to my question of the week. So I do get asked this. It's a very generic question, but since it's asked quite a bit, I'm going to answer to the fullest of my abilities. why is your channel called Hairbrain Games? And the answer is because of the hair. So anyway, now let's get to the next segment. All right, I was doing 3 games as the previous segment, like, hey, here's 3 games, and I decided I'm gonna mix it up a little bit again because 3 games is kind of generic. So I'm gonna do playing, reading, watching lately, and I'm gonna go. I mean, because it's really kind of what I've been doing anyway with the 3 games, except branching it out. So what have I been playing in the board game space lately? Well, I've gone back to Bang the Dice game, which I still think is one of the best games for just casual audiences to just dive in and be able to play a very quick game, roll some dice, feel like they're playing Yahtzee, you know, have some interaction. It's not that hard to explain to people. I have not had anyone really troubled over it. It's not like Bang the card game, which takes a lot of explaining, can knock you out, and takes longer. Bang the Dice game is like you're in, you're out in 15 minutes, and you had a good time. So that one's one I played. The other one, as you can see behind me, is I have my long since commitment to reviewing War of the Ring, which I got distracted a little bit with my Middle Earth Quest review, but I'm going to go back and, yep, back to recreating this again. And I have the Lords of Middle Earth and the Warriors of Middle Earth, and I'm going to be introducing as well before I do the review, just so people get a nice wide spectrum of the birth of what could possibly, I'm not committing to this, be the greatest War of the Ring game of all time, but who knows, so anyway, on a video game front, I'm still in Far Cry 6, I like it, I have a new machine that runs it better, and that helps out. Still don't know if it's my favorite. I think Far Cry 4 is my favorite. And then I bought a $7 game off of Steam called Write and Fight, which is where you have poets and historians of old in a Mortal Kombat match. It sounds so quirky and fun, and it's an absolute abomination to anybody's synapses. It shipped broken. You download it, you click play, and it immediately crashes and goes to desktop, and the developer's like, oh, it's not the game's fault, we packaged it wrong. No, it is the game's fault, because that's part of the game. You suck. Anyway, so that's what we got going on. I'm probably going to get my money back or whatever, but for $7, whatever. I like premises. You find some weird topic, I'm generally probably going to take a peek at it, but this one's just, like, disgustingly bad execution. Don't waste your $7. Seriously. Yeah. Buy some peat from someone's bog for $7 and drink that, and you'll have a better time. What book am I reading? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'm reading a book called Born to Run because I'm doing 10Ks and all that. This is really about people. This is about a particular tribe that they don't really want to be well known, but they're going to anyway. That runs just amazing amount, hundreds of miles. Don't get hurt. Don't need rest. They can pull it off. Not going to try that. Just not. But I still think that's pretty cool. And the TV show or movie shows I'm watching, I got back into Grimm. We watched Once Upon a Time a long time ago. And we got through a few seasons, and then it kind of, I think the first 2 seasons of that were perfect. If they'd stopped and never done anything but the first 2 seasons, I think I would have been like, that's cool, but then it just went off the rails. Grimm is much grimmer. And I like it more. I think I like it. It's still not, like Citizen Kane level entertainment, but I'm having a good time going back to that. So anyway, love to hear what all you are doing. It's not about me, Rick Warren. It's about everyone. So if you guys have some cool suggestions, I take them very seriously. I think I've bought at least 7 or 8 games in the past year or so from people going, hey, have you checked that out? So yeah, so I love it. Let me know. So, and with that, let's get to Tumbleweeds of Time. All right, the year is 1970. What are the famous birthdays in 1970? Well, Heather Graham, who was, yes, just wonderful person. Just, man, I remember her. My favorite, man, how many favorite movies could there be with her? She's done a lot of movies, and I think, yeah, what was the name of that movie that she was in that just Diggstown, yes. If you've not seen Diggstown, I really like Digstown. It like you spend the whole movie waiting for that one. It's like Quigley Down Under. You spend the entire movie just waiting for that one awesome redemption at the end. So, in other news, there's Miliana Trump. You know her, Nick Offerman from Parks and Recreation, Warwick David, who did Willow. So yeah. Now famous deaths nearby, Jimi Hendrix, who I actually lived about 2 miles from his gravesite when I first got married, and so it's a pretty famous place. I went and visited. So yeah, popular slang. What was the slang word in 1970? Well, this was a surprise to me. The term was newbie. Newbie is something we use in gaming all the time. And I didn't realize that it was that long ago that it was coined by the Army as they were recruiting and drafting for the unfortunate Vietnam military exercise. And so the newbie was the term they used. And what was the popular fad? Well, that was the introduction of Nerf. We had the Nerf ball. 4 million Nerf balls were sold. It totally... Nerf gun fights have... I can't even imagine, like, growing up with my kids without Nerf gun fights. Or Nerf gun office fights if you got to work at some cool places like I did. What was a popular pun? NSFW maybe, but anyway, what nation has caused the largest population growth since 1970? Insemination. I don't even like that one, but that's the best I could find. They didn't have the humor rocking in 1970. They should have just stuck with Woodstock. Anyway, the top song was Bridge Over Troubled Waters by Simon and Garfunkel. Simon I still know about. I have no idea what Garfunkel's doing these days. And the weirdest story in 1970s was in July when Archie Beasley of Birmingham, England, attributed his good health to eating a live frog every day. He said that he had been following the dietary regimen for 46 years, estimating that he had eaten around 15,000 live frogs in his life and had never had an upset stomach. He noted there are thousands of people in this country who swallow oysters whole. Oysters are live too, and they do the same work in cleaning the stomach. First off, why do they have to be live? Like, I see no nutritional value eating live over dead. Like, what is the deal? And second off, they're frogs, man. Dang. So, and no, he's not still living. Anyway, and what was the popular board game of 1970 was Panzer Blitz. And I still see this game in war game shops. I still see this game 52 years later in war game shops. So that's some pretty good longevity. And finally, how many aardvarks lived in Kiribati in 1970? And the answer to that is 0. And that's what we got this week.